The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
The South Kesteven series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop located at 20 Ropery Road, Gainsborough, or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Hello folks, welcome back to South Kesteven for the last episode this week. Now we've seen some beautiful villages along the A607 this week, haven't we? Well, here's one to finish it all off. This is the parish of Carlton Scroop. Carltons Scroop, free peasants' farm belonging to the Scroop family. Ending this week's run of parishes in South Kesteven, we have the lovely Carlton Scroop. What a great name that is, right? Carlton Scroop is situated just under 6 miles northeast of Grantham, and the A607 between that town and Lincoln passes through the centre of the village. Carlton was listed in the Domesday Book as Carltune. Scroop as a suffix would be added later because most of the village was owned at one time by the Scroop or Scrope family. I'm sure we've heard that name before. Oh wait, yes we have. They last appeared in Langer when we were in Rushcliffe. Carlton Scroop is situated below the Lincoln Cliff, the escarpment edge that separates the Wolds from the Trent Vale. On the cliff 1 mile to the north is Normanton, whose population is usually included with admin and stats for Carlton. The Viking Way long distance footpath passes through the village too. So what does Carlton have for us then? Well, quite a bit in fact. Carlton was once bisected by a railway line that crossed 2 of the main village streets. All that remains of the line today are a pair of old bridges at the points where the railway met the road. It was the Grantham and Lincoln line, which we met before. It ran alongside the village's biggest landmark, Sudbrook Moor Golf Club, which unlike the railway is still very much going. East of that is Carlton Hall, whilst to the west is the church dedicated to St Nicholas. Carlton also has a village hall, an old school, and the site of a former Cold War microwave mast, abandoned in 1968 and now demolished. So there's quite a bit here then. Let's go walking and see it all. We start our walk around Carlton Scroop in the southwestern corner of the village. This is Main Street, which defines the southern extent of Carlton, and it's part of the A607. It's a bit sporadic in terms of buildings, and it's all very modern down here. Walk to the east though, and soon things start to change. Carlton has a massive village green. It occupies a triangle of land where Hoff Lane meets Main Street, right before the church. This looks delightful, and it's a sign of what's to come. Our first main landmark is Carlton Scroop's Grade 1 listed Anglican church dedicated to St Nicholas. Parts of the fabric are Norman, although the most obvious features are decorated. The east window, depicting 2 kneeling figures each holding a shield, is an example of 14th century medieval stained glass. Called the New March window, it dates from 1310. The base of the tower is 12th century and the upper part is from 1633, constructed after the former steeple collapsed in 1630. The traceried stone font here is more than 500 years old, and the pulpit is Jacobean, dating back to the 17th century. The south aisle window is an early work of Charles Eamer Kemp. The church was last restored in 1878. Today, St Nicholas's Church is what's known as a festival church. It's open daily for visitors and private prayer. Carlton Scroop was once split into 2 parts by the route of a railway line. It crossed the village in 2 places, Main Street and Newark Lane. All that remains of the railway cutting, which has now been filled in, are the parapets of 2 bridges. This here is the one on Main Street. The line in question was the Grantham and Lincoln Railway. It opened in 1867 and later became part of the Great Northern Railway. It was closed during the beaching cuts of 1965. The line branched north from the Poacher Line, the one that runs to Ancaster. You can still see the old junction on overhead maps. Now, if you stand on this bridge, you can see a memorial below its arches to the south. That's nothing to do with the railway line, that's everything to do, though, with a wartime plane crash. In late December 2024, the memorial you can see from the bridge was installed within the grounds of Sudbrook Moor Golf Club. It commemorates the decorated American combat veterans killed in a mid-air collision over Lincolnshire 80 years ago. 7 men were killed in the collision during a training flight over Carlton Scroop on December 18, 1944. The incident involved 2 aircraft. One was a US Air Force 61st Troop Carrier Group C-109, and the other was a B-24 Liberator named Lazy Lou. The C-109 came down close to the village school, and wreckage also fell in a field next to what is now part of the golf club. Local author David Bristow has written a book about the incident. It's called What Happened to You, Lazy Lou? Well, I can answer that. Lazy Lou tried, but just failed to reach RAF Cranwell. It crash landed and broke up near North Rossby, and we saw a memorial to that crash in the North Rossby episode. Bristow's father was a pupil at the school in Carlton Scroop at the time, and he had a narrow escape, seeing as the plane literally just missed the building. The unveiling of the memorial attracted about 100 people, including the families of the men, along with British and American service personnel. 3 men survived the accident, but the rest perished. Also among the dead was the squadron's mascot Dalmatian dog. He actually survived the crash initially, but loyal as he ever was, when he tried to run to find his master, his injuries proved too great. So, as well as photographs of both crews, the memorial features a tribute to the dog. His name was Major Jerry, and he belonged to Lieutenant Colonel Lewis Frederick. Major Jerry travelled with Colonel Frederick for campaigns in North Africa, Sicily, Italy and Northern Europe. Supposedly, he was a bit of a genius. It was said he could spot other aircraft in the air before the crew, and it was considered good luck to rub his back.
Yeah, fascinating story that about the air crash and Major Jerry. What a good dog. What a good dog. I wonder if there's any dogs in the RAF like that these days. Who knows? Anyway, next up we need to talk about the golf club, which is where you can find that memorial. You've just seen it from the bridge, which I'm still stood on. The golf club is right there.
The memorial is just one reason why you should visit the golf club. There are others. I mean, golf is probably the main one. That's just a hunch, you know. It's easy for you to play golf here, actually. The club was created and developed by award-winning PGA professional Tim Hutton and is managed with the help of his wife Judith and his family. Hutton started his career as an assistant professional to 5-time Ryder Cup captain Di Reese and travelled extensively as a tournament player. He was club professional at Sleaford Golf Club for 12 years before designing and building Sudbrook Moor. Sudbrook Moor is an ideal setting for both starters and more experienced players. The course is testing without being too demanding upon your stamina. The holes here range from 130 to 430 yards in terms of length. It has practice facilities including a driving range, a putting green, a chipping green and a practice bunker. The original course of 6 holes was laid out in 1986. This was followed by the purchase of another larger field in 1990, when 9 more holes joined the fray. Following the acquisition of the old railway line in 1997, the course was redesigned with 2 further completely new holes. This provided a more spacious setup with added length. The practice ground, which was once part of the first fairway, now stands alone. The driving range, coaching bay, golf shop, mower store and changing facilities were developed in 2005. Sudbrook Moor Golf Course is maintained and developed with the latest techniques and equipment of Fine Turf, one of the country's leading turf care companies. With a policy of ongoing improvements and refinements, Sudbrook Moor is now considered to be among the best golf courses in the area. Now we're at Main Street's junction with Charity Street, and there used to be a pub on this corner. It was called the Coach and Horses. It was a pub with a history tied to the village's development, particularly with its role as a stopping point for coaches and its agricultural and quarrying past too. The building itself is thought to date back to the mid to late 18th century. It still stands, but it's long since closed down as a pub. Today it's a house, and the nearest pub to Carlton is Hoff's Brownlow Arms.
So if you're a golfer and you fancy trying Sudbrook Moor out, you need to be on Charity Street to find the entrance. That's where I am right now. Here's the entrance to the golf club, Sudbrook Moor Golf Club and Golf Range, as it says right there. We'll walk past this and we'll continue down Charity Street.
Now we've come north for a short way up the A607 to its junction with Newark Lane. Along here is where you find Carlton Scroop and Normanton Village Hall. A shared facility between the two villages, a village hall of some kind has been here since the mid-1970s, but this current building seems to be much newer than that. I didn't find out a lot about this one in all honesty, so let's move on down Newark Lane towards the second of the two railway bridges. This bridge is about halfway down Newark Lane where the Grantham to Lincoln line swept its way under the road. Again, all that remains are the parapets of the old bridge. We have met this line before in several places actually. This is the same line that Keyhouse station, which we covered earlier on this week, was on. It also featured in places like Leadenham, Navenby, Harmston and Waddington in North Kesteven. The railway nuts should all head to those episodes after this one to check out those former stations. Carlton Scroop never had a station of its own. The nearest was at Keythorpe. Today, Carlton Scroop's nearest station is Ancaster, just to the east. Let's move on to our final landmark now, which is around the bend on Hoff Road at the end of Newark Lane. This is Carltons Old School, known formerly as the Old Stone School according to a nameplate on its wall. Education in this village was fairly rudimentary. A single-storey building, this was a parochial school and later it became a national school. Along with the schoolmaster's house next door, it was built in 1841. This school served the parishes of Carlton Scroop and Normanton, the latter of which never had a school of its own. Although a house now, you can tell this was a school just by looking at it. It's retained its coursed limestone and pitched gable roof of slate, as well as its cute little bell gable. The school was built at a cost of £500, with Earl Brownlow contributing £200 from his own pocket. The building was last restored in 1886 and then enlarged in 1896 to hold 95 children. Carlton School closed in 1961 and all of the senior pupils transferred to the Sir William Robertson School in Welbourne. The juniors would go to Keythorpe or to Ancaster.
So the last shot of the school there came from inside Carlton Scroop's very tiny cemetery. I'll just show you where I'm sat here on this bench. You'll see there are all of, I think, 4 graves in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not very many, but there's plenty of space for any more, I suppose, should they come along, when they come along. So yeah, that's Carlton Scroop's cemetery. Now just before we wrap up this episode, there is one more thing to talk about. You might have seen it as we've been walking around, but Carlton Scroop has a very tall radio mast that stands on a hill above the village. It's on Heath Lane and I would go and see it, but I don't think there's much space to turn my car around up there. So for that reason, here's a couple of pictures of it.
Now, before we sign this one off, here's one final piece about the airwaves around Carlton, because they've been used extensively down the years. Carlton once had a microwave tower which formed part of a Cold War emergency microwave communication system called Backbone. A Cold War era bunker of the Royal Observer Corps was built in 1965 and abandoned in 1968, and it's now demolished. There is still a mast outside the village. That forms part of a microwave telephone link from London to Scotland, and you can find it on Heath Lane.
Yes, so all that's left is to make my way back to the car, and just before I do, I just noticed this as I walked out of the cemetery there. Look at this for a piece of topiary on the end of the road here. What is that? Is that a duck? Is it a duck? Maybe it's a swan. No, it's not a swan. It ain't got a long neck. I think it's a duck. It's great, isn't it? Someone spent a lot of time making that. That looks fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. You only get that in the countryside, don't you?
And folks, there ends another working week and another run in South Kesteven. We are steaming through these now and will soon be at the halfway point. I will be back to South Kesteven in a couple of weeks. I'll be taking on 2 close to the border with Melton on the other side of Grantham. See you there very soon, but it's bye for now. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.